Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round 2 of Pando. Here's how it works. And pay careful attention because I did change the scoring slightly if you listened to round 1, which you will see in a second here. But generally, here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is written 3 personal questions. For example, one card asks, what is the dumbest purchase I've ever made? Do I like sausage? And can I start a fire without matches or a lighter? First, I'll ask Ryan 3 questions pertaining to me, and he'll have to answer each one correctly, earning 1 point per correct answer, and a bonus point for getting all 3 correct. Then we'll switch it around, and it'll be my turn. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy until...
we play again.
Yeah! All right, for the record, the dumbest purchase I've ever made is a toss-up between Icelandic wild cod liver and a bunch of useless cat toys. I do like sausage, and I did once start a small fire using a magnifying glass.
I don't want to talk about the dumbest purchase I ever made. I do like sausage, and I once started a fire with wood using a drill.
I'm going to need more details about your dumbest purchase and also the fire. Please continue.
So, the dumbest purchase I ever made, I don't want to talk about.
It's a podcast. You can't come here and be like, I don't want to talk about it.
Listen, okay, so the dumbest purchase I ever made was a vacuum. I am still embarrassed by this. It's very hard for me to talk about, okay?
Okay, so far, a vacuum cleaner does not seem like a dumb purchase, but please continue.
Well, it's the amount I paid for it, which makes it pretty dumb.
How much did you pay for a vacuum cleaner?
$5,000.
You paid What was it made of gold?
It was a Kirby vacuum. And what happened was a door-to-door salesman came to our door and demoed this vacuum, and I could not believe the amount of shit this vacuum picked up. I was so impressed with it, right? He came to our door offering a free cleaning for 1 room, and I was like, hell yeah, go to town. So let me back up. So when he knocked on the door, Rebecca went and hid in the bathroom. And so he's sitting there doing this vacuuming. And then I was like, cool, well, thanks for the cleaning. He's like, then he starts like selling me this vacuum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow I agreed to pay $5,000 for this thing. But I will say that we still own the vacuum. It's been almost 10 years. It still works perfectly fine.
Well then, maybe it isn't such a dumb purchase after all then.
Yeah, but for $5,000, it was kind of a dumb purchase. Especially when I look online and I find the same vacuum for $300. You know, I feel like I got a little swindled. Just a little.
Well, bro, all that's left now is for you to tell me when you created this wood fire. I'm assuming it was accidental.
No, it was on purpose. Grandpa was showing me how you could start a fire using wood, like a dowel, and another piece of wood. And he was trying to do the whole rubbing method, and it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So he was like, hold on, I'll be right back. And he goes to the garage, and he gets a power drill, dragging out this extension cord out into the yard, puts the dowel into the thing, and then starts drilling into the wood and created fire. So I guess technically I wasn't the one that created it, but I was there for moral support, so I helped create it.
Oh, I miss him so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Real quick before we dive into the game, again, it's called Pando. That is Pando. It was created by Pando and is available at playpando.com. Link in the show notes. They are not a sponsor. Ryan, are you ready for your cards?
I'm ready.
Excellent. First question. Have I ever had plastic surgery?
No.
Correct. Second question. Would I snitch on my friends or family if I saw them commit a nonviolent crime?
I think it depends on the nonviolent crime. It really depends on the nonviolent crime. If your friend was speeding, I don't think you're going to snitch on them. If your friend or family member embezzled $1 million, I think you would snitch on them.
Correct. It would depend entirely on what it was. If it was super severe, if it was like a federal offense and I knew about it, I could get in trouble also. So I would be all over like, hey, do you want me to wear a wire? Are we good? Let's get this done. I'm not going to jail.
Note to self, don't trust Heather. Okay.
Especially if you're going to commit a federal offense. Ryan, you planning on that in your near future?
Hey, you never know. Okay. You never know.
Well, all right. Question number 3. Have I ever had a crush on my boss?
Yes.
Correct. Damn.
Bonus point.
All right. Hit me with my cards.
Okay, Heather. Am I addicted to caffeine?
I think not.
Incorrect.
Damn.
Heather, do I tend to embellish the truth?
In general, I would say, okay, I think it depends. I think if it's something serious, then no. But if you're telling a story to be humorous, then probably a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. You are correct. Do I own cowboy boots?
If the answer to this is yes, we're going to need to have a conversation. But I'm going to go with no.
Incorrect.
You own effing cowboy boots?
I don't. I don't own cowboy boots.
No offense to anyone who likes and wears cowboy boots, I guess. How are you going to not be offended after that? I don't know.
I'm so happy I got that reaction. That was amazing. Woo! All right.
By the way, I forgot to give the running score at the beginning of So at the beginning of this round, it was Ryan 3, Heather 6. So now it's Ryan 7, Heather 8.
Catching up. I'm catching up.
Catching up. So I gotta hope you get all these wrong. Are you ready for your next set of cards?
I am ready.
Have I ever done a juice cleanse?
I'm going to say yes.
Answer is no.
Oh, okay.
I have never been able to make it for more than an hour because I get too hungry and I'm like, well, now I got to eat. And the juice cleanse is over.
So you did do a juice cleanse?
No, I didn't do. It says, have you done a juice cleanse? Not have you failed a juice cleanse.
But you did a juice cleanse. An attempt was made, so therefore you did one. Even if it was failed, you still did one.
Done implies that I successfully did. Okay, you know what?
I don't know.
Define do. I'm taking it to the dictionary right now.
Go for it. I think it'll be in my favor.
Achieve or complete. Definition number 2, a verb.
Whatever, Heather.
No,
okay, fine.
I have never done a juice cleanse.
Hold up. You started it and you completed it, even if you didn't complete the whole thing. You still finished it.
Okay, we're going to move on. Am I good with a grill?
Hell no.
Correct. In my defense, I have never actually used one, so I might be, but I'm just going to say no because I'm too scared to even turn it on.
Heather, if you cook anything like how I remember you cooking growing up, you most definitely are not good on a grill.
Okay, excuse me. I am hit or miss, okay? I am hit or miss. Half the time, I nail it. Half the time, I nail it. You must have had all my other halves of the time where it was not good. Oh, I remember one time I had a bunch of friends sleep over. And it was like me and 3 other girls. And so we decided, we slept in and it was like Saturday morning. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make everybody oatmeal. And it was disgusting. It was the worst thing I'd ever had. And me and 2 of my friends took like a bite of it. And just went to the trash can and threw it out. I was like, don't eat it. Don't pretend you like it. Just toss it. It's gross. And my other friend was like, it's not that bad. She ate the whole bowl. I've never, to this day, I don't understand how she consumed this entire bowl.
I will tell you, the most impressive cooking fail I have ever witnessed, and she will probably murder me for telling this story, but here goes, was my dear wife managed to burn hard-boiled eggs.
She is going to kill you for telling the story. Please continue.
So it was when he first got married.
Did she light them on fire? Like, did she just take them out and...
So she boiled water and she put the eggs, as one would, making hard-boiled eggs, and left the kitchen. And I was sitting there either playing video games or watching TV, one or the other. And all of a sudden I smell this really nasty burning. It's like it smelled like burning hair and skin.
Ooh.
And I was like, what is going on? And I walked into the kitchen and the water had all boiled off and it was just the eggs left on this hot pot, just burning away. And it was hilarious.
I mean, I burnt a lot of things, but I will say I have never managed to burn hard-boiled eggs. But sometimes I get the timing wrong, and then trying to peel them is a source of frustration.
Listen, that's hard-boiled eggs is one of the hardest things for me to get right. And I have tried every trick in the book, all the different hacks on how to peel eggs, and I cannot, for the life of me, ever peel eggs.
Well, Ryan, you're such a good overall chef in general that's your, what's the word for it? When it's your
kryptonite?
black horse. It's your kryptonite. Yeah, that. It's your nemesis,
Like,
whatever it is.
If I was on like a cooking game show and they're like, we need you to hard-boiled eggs, I'm like, and I lose. Not even gonna try.
Except they get all these really dramatic close-ups of you being like,
Dude, and it would be like that. You would see me freaking out. Like you would see me freaking out in utter frustration. There would be eggs being thrown, pans being thrown, full-on temper tantrum.
everyone giving you looks. You'd be the bad guy of the whole show. They'd use that big time. Okay. Ryan.
Yes.
Generally speaking, am I naughty or nice? Third question.
Generally speaking, you are nice.
I would agree to that statement, even though it sounds conceited. Let's move on.
I have a story about you, Heather. I don't even know if you remember this.
Oh, God.
But as you know, us growing up, we did not get along very well. Constantly at each other's throats.
Uh-huh.
And there was one day we were out on the playground. I think I was probably about 12-ish at the time, maybe a little younger. And you happened to be there, and there was some kid flipping me shit. And you stepped up and laid into this kid and made him feel like an utter asshole, and he stopped bothering me. And then you walked away. And I was just dumbfounded, like, did that just happen? And this girl next to me goes, I wish my brother would stick up for me like that. And I was like, yeah, I got a cool sister.
It's the right. It's the older sibling right. It's like you get to pick on your younger sibling as much as you want, but the minute somebody else does it, you're like, fucking back off now. What did you say to my brother? I will fucking kill you. I once saw this guy started picking on this little boy. This was when they had dug out that huge amount of soil and that dirt because they were going to put in a new dormitory. And so it was this huge, deep hole with this big mound next to it. And we'd love to go and play.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd make the dirt forts and the tunnels. Oh, such great fun. I think kids are not allowed to play on construction sites now, but back then it was all gold, right? So we were just like, woohoo! But
the fact that we built tunnels in that, Heather, like, you know how many times we could have died? Like, we could have been buried alive?
We would play we would play
Dirt clod.
mudslinging. Yeah, throw dirt clods at each other. Break into teams and score it up. We'd be like, let's do this.
There were 2 dirt piles, so there was one fort on each side.
Oh, that was the best. But anyway, there's a little boy there, and some other little boy started to bully him, and his sister flew at this kid, knocked him to the ground, got on top of him, like stuck her knees on his elbows and held his arms down and was like, I never want to see you treat my brother that way again. And I was like, wow. So I think maybe that also made an impression as like, I should do that for my brother too.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the 90s for you.
Mm-hmm.
Big sibling stuff. Listen, Ryan.
Yes.
Hit me with those cards, those questions.
Okay. Do I have a birthmark?
Yes, you do.
Incorrect. Moving on.
Nope, back it up, because that's a big fat lie right there. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
That is true. I have 2 birthmarks. Can I drive stick shift?
Yes.
Yes, Heather, that is correct. Have I ever defecated outside?
I'm going to go with a yes on that one.
Maybe.
Maybe counts as yes in this game. All right, so let's see. That brings our final score for this game to 9 for Ryan and 12 for Heather.
All right, I'm only 3 behind. I got this. I'm gonna catch up and kick your ass next week.
And if you do, seriously, if you win this game after winning the last 2 games, I will pick a game with no score for number 4, because I can't do it 4 times in a row. But for now, I get the Gloating Rights Trophy in your face. Whoops. Now it's time for research inspired by this week's game. I decided that this week we would explore what to do to properly go doo-doo outside. First of all, prep. Try to go before you end up needing to suddenly pull over on the side of the road and go. But if you're in a pinch, pun intended, here's what you do. This is how you poop outside. You're going to dig a hole. You're going to go 200 feet away from any water source or trail or campsite. You're going to dig a hole. You're going to go in the hole 6 to 8 inches. Don't go too deep and don't go too shallow, because the bacteria that break down poo is at 6 to 8 inch level. So you don't want to mess with that. Bring toilet paper to wipe with, but don't litter it. Put it in a Ziploc bag, because that's awesome and fun to have around. Use hand sanitizer to clean your hands. Now, what if you have to go outside and it's snowy or super cold and you can't dig a hole? Well, you know what? Why don't you just poop right into the poop bag? How about that? Just have some poop bags and poop into the poop bag, or poop on the ground and scoop it up with the poop bag. I've never tried to poop into a bag, so I'm not sure how that would work out. But hey, that's not what it says to do. Just do what it says to do. Get yourself some waste alleviation and gelling bags, WAG bags. I guess the gel in there makes it so you can throw it in the trash can after that.
Interesting.
Now, all of this is obviously if you're prepared, you know you're going to be outside or needing to go outside, you're hiking, you're in the wilderness, whatever. However, what if you're not prepared? What if you're driving along a highway and it's 50 miles to the nearest rest stop and you just can't hold it anymore? You're going to stop and poop it on the side of the road. Okay? Which might technically be illegal depending on where you are.
Probably, yeah.
But if you're not going to make it 50 miles, there's nothing else you're going to be able to do in that. Maybe go into some tall plants, and I'm going to leave it there if that's me. And I'm going to hope there's still some wipes in the car and we didn't use the last one yesterday.
Leaves, Heather. Just make sure it's not poison oak.
Also, sometimes there'll be like little construction sites with porta potties. Like if I ever see a porta potty, I'm not above stopping and using one in an emergency, even though you're not supposed to pull over.
Right.
On a highway in particular. Ryan, there's one more thing to this.
Okay.
One thing you can do is hold it longer. You can strengthen your anal sphincter by doing Kegel exercises. So that Maybe you don't have to pull over if you do these every day. Here's what you do. You relax your abdomen and your buttocks, since that's not what you're trying to exercise. You're going to spread your legs slightly apart. You're going to squeeze your anus and pelvic floor muscles as if you were trying to stop peeing.
Mm-hmm.
Hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. Gently release, and do that 5 times. And just do that every day. These are actually exercises they encourage pregnant women to do.
Yeah.
For when it comes time to have the baby.
And then you can start adding weights and just really get those muscles ripped down there. Just have like a ripped ass hole.
Can you describe how one would use weights in this scenario?
Hey,
Ryan?
Use your imagination, Heather. You just stuff a 10-pound weight up there and you just squeeze your pelvic floor muscles and you hold it up there like you're trying to take a 10-pound shit. Next thing you know, you're going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger asshole.
Or you're going to be in the hospital. Whatever. Who knows which way that goes? It's time for stories inspired by today's episode. As I have been, I got these from Reddit, but I'm going to mention it every time. We would love to hear and share your stories. So shoot us an email, thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com, or visit Instagram @thepoliticsfreepodcast and message me on there. Let us know the stories. If anything in here has reminded you of that, keeping the tone light and fluffy and humorous, as is the tone of the podcast. We're dying to share them, so send them on over. But for now, we're going to go to this question. Redditors, what was the stupidest lie that ever blew up in your face? From Eat More Fiber.
Interesting.
It does fit very well with the theme, which I'm proud of. I was shopping with my then girlfriend at Nordstrom's and grew bored, so I started chatting with the associate at the register while the girlfriend browsed. I had recently purchased a deeply discounted Lacoste fleece at TJ Maxx, discount retailer, and was wearing it that day. The associate started asking all kinds of questions about it, where I got it, how much I paid, etc., saying that he wanted one for himself. For some reason, the shame of telling a Nordstrom's employee I got it for 90% off at TJ Maxx was too much for my teenage self. So I lied and said my girlfriend had bought it in France. Cue the girlfriend coming over to check out. The associate, of course, complimenting her taste in clothes that she bought for me. Mass confusion followed by embarrassment for me. No reason to lie. Every reason to think he would ask her about it. No benefit to myself. Definitely my stupidest lie ever.
Awesome.
I love it. By the way, the Nordstrom employee probably also shops at TJ Maxx. Just calm down.
Probably.
From a deleted account, 6th grade. I was new in town and obviously wanted to fit in at school and everything. South Park was just getting big at the time, and kids were running around saying Stan and Kyle's line, "You killed Kenny, blah, blah, blah." Actually, it's, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny." Anyway, I didn't hear of the show and much less get the joke because my family didn't have cable. One day at lunch, someone asked if I watched the new episode last night, and I brilliantly said, "Nah, I only saw the one where they killed Kenny." Bewildered faces all around the table. I found out a week later they kill him every damn time.
So I have a South Park story.
Okay.
I believe we were in middle school when Dad finally got satellite TV for us. And I think it was like Friday night. I was browsing through the channels and came across South Park. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this. So I'm sitting there just laughing my ass off. And it's like midnight. And then I woke Dad up and I immediately was like, oh, I'm in so much trouble because this is like such an inappropriate show. And I thought for sure Dad was like going to chew my ass for watching this show. And he sat down and watched it with me. And we shared in quite the laughter that night watching South Park.
Yes, I remember clearly Dad loved South Park. He even bought T-shirts that said, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny," because his name was Ken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Anyway, another one here from another deleted account. Not too embarrassing, but still funny. A little while back, I had some friends that didn't have cable but really wanted to watch a football game. So they asked me ahead of time if they could come to my place, and I said, okay, since this was pretty standard. The next day, I got a text like 15 minutes before the game asking if I was still down. I wasn't still down and didn't feel like having people over. I just felt like being on my couch alone, so I made up some bullshit excuse about food poisoning and going home. I didn't realize they had my roommate's number, who was totally unaware this was even going on. So they called him and he says it's fine. Then they come over and I'm just on the couch in boxers eating cereal. Which I thought was hilarious. They're like, sick, huh? Food poisoning. Cool. All right, bro, we're going to wrap it up with our question of the week. And I didn't write one in here, so I'm just going to go right now.
I have a story.
About what?
About
bomb disposal?
About Sophie and Chloe yesterday. It was hilarious.
Hold on.
Hold on.
It hurts my professionalism sensibility, but since I don't actually have a question prepared, we'll end on this story. Go, Ryan. Go.
Okay, so I like to boop the snoots of my children with my finger. And Sophie, the older one, all I have to do is put my finger out towards her face and she will move her nose right into my finger and do the boop for me. Chloe, however, will not allow me to boop her snoot under any circumstances. And she will fight my hand away from her face and we'll get into these battles and I'll finally get a boop in. And yesterday, I was attempting to boop her snoot, and of course she wouldn't allow me to. And then Sophie says to me, quite brilliantly, you know, you should just boop her in her sleep. And I was like, that is genius. And I'm going to start doing that, and I'm going to document it every time. And then Sophie kind of chuckles and she goes, yeah, well, knowing Chloe, she'll probably wake up in a violent rage and try to kill you. I was like, what? And she goes, so Chloe, you have to know, sleeps like a rock. It is impossible to wake this girl up. So Sophie's like, yeah, there's one time she was asleep on the couch and had her bag of chips in her lap. And she's like, and I snuck over and I was reaching down inside of the bag real carefully and I grabbed a couple chips and I started coming out of the bag and then the bag crinkled and Chloe woke up out of a dead sleep, grabbed the bag in my hand. She said, don't eat my chips.
Oh my God, you crinkle one chip bag and she turns into the Exorcist. That is hilarious. Thank you for that story, Ryan.
You're welcome.
No thank you, Heather, for not having a question ready.
How dare you?
And thank everyone for listening. Please share the podcast. And I'm going to tell you real quick why I ask this at the end of every episode. And that's because the number one way that somebody finds a new podcast is because somebody tells them about it. Mm-hmm. Like 70% of all podcast growth comes from just straight word of mouth. Somebody telling somebody about it. So it's like I could do all the advertising in the world and it still would not get me as many people as somebody who loves the podcast going ahead and recommending it to another person. So that's what I'll ask. I'll ask you to recommend it to somebody until
next time.
Until
we meet again.
We play again.
Until we play again.